Hey, what's up everyone? Back with another video review here. This is going to be the Clutchfit Drive Low. I did a couple of different versions of this video, and I finally just settled on doing a straight up head-to-head comparison with the first Clutchfit Drive Low. I think that would be the best way to give you information on both shoes and tell you about this shoe specifically, and kind of help people out who are in these different categories. If you haven't played in the first Clutchfit Drive at all, I would recommend that you try one of these two shoes. They play very similarly, so if you haven't played in the first one, I would really think it's worth trying at least one of these two versions. To me, it's at that level of like a 29 or something like that, where I think everybody should at least give them a chance. If you have played in the first Clutchfit Drive, these play very similarly, so hopefully give you some information on some of the similarities and differences between the two, and if you're curious about getting the twos, how they compare. So hopefully this video will help you guys in both groups. I think it's a true successor to the first Clutchfit Drive, and if you guys have seen the videos on the Clutchfit Drive, you know that I'm a pretty big fan of them, so it's a pretty solid shoe overall. We'll get into the specifics here. So I'll just discuss the similarities and differences between the two, and then touch on some performance points as we proceed. We'll start with like the design and the materials here. Starting with that traction pattern on the bottom. I'm gonna shift the camera a little bit. So obviously full-length herringbone throughout both shoes, and they are almost identical. Obviously there is that Under Armour logo in the heel on the one, and then the two has it in the forefoot, and then basically you have these like grooves running throughout the forefoot on both shoes, just helping with the flexibility there. Obviously with the charged cutout in the two, and this straight groove, and then in the one it's more of a curvy, funky looking groove there. So in terms of the traction, I play on two courts right now. One is pretty well maintained, so traction is really good on there. You do have to keep the outsoles clean, both in game and between games and on off days. The most I think you would have to do is just wipe them down with a rag and like warm water or something like that. I also play on a court it's really nice, but it's very, very smooth, so I have to wipe these down a little bit more frequently on that court just to maintain really good grip. So I think traction, I have really no complaints for where I play. It just really covers you in all kinds of movements, and that's what you should expect for full-length herringbone, right? But yeah, all kinds of movements like power drives and going to the hoop, and step back jumpers, and Euro steps, all kinds of stuff. Step backs, and what else did I like? Lateral movements and playing defense. It just really covers you in all movements, so it's never been an issue for me personally. Also, another thing is the surface area. There is a slight curve here, so technically you'd have more surface area on the first Clutchfit Drive, but I don't think that's something that you notice while playing. So traction is really okay for me. It's no problem at all. Moving on to the cushioning. Let me get this down here. How can I show you guys this? Well, this will be fine. And also I'll show you the insoles. This is built on a midsole of charge cushioning, and the one is all micro G. So the two comes with this insole, which is a thick yellow foamy insole. It is very spongy, very soft, so my foot just like sinks into this when you put them on, just from like trying them on. And then the original, the first Clutchfit Drive, comes with the micro G, this famous orange micro G outsole, which is thinner. Okay, it is thinner than the yellow one, but it's also more dense. Okay, it's not quite as squishy and spongy as the yellow one. I prefer micro G. This is just a personal preference. I don't know if I can say one is better than the other, but I know that I prefer micro G over just pure charged. I think micro G is slightly more substantial, a little bit more dense than just charged. I don't know if it makes any sense, but I feel like charged feels a little bit more hollow than micro G. I don't know if that really means anything to you guys, but just me personally, I think micro G is slightly more substantial and a little bit more dense, so it provides slightly better impact protection, in my opinion, from my experience. But they're both really low profile, responsive cushionings, and they're kind of bouncy underfoot for a foam cushioning, right? It's not going to be springy like really good Zoom Air, but in terms of foam cushionings, it is really good, and I enjoy it. So again, I think the Clutchfit Drive 2 with the yellow insole is just a little bit spongier, and your foot kind of sinks into the shoe a little bit more because of this really thick foam insole. So, but in terms of the cushioning and responsiveness, you know, I think they both do a pretty good job of just giving you that nice responsive feel underfoot. So moving on to transition, that's a strong point of both of these shoes. Transition is very important. I guess I should leave both of them in there. Transition is really important to me. Personally, it's a big part of my game, just getting out in transition and running the floor, driving to the basket and beating people down court. So I want a shoe that really promotes that like natural gait and it doesn't like impede your progress. So both of them, obviously, because they're built on a very similar base, they both have really solid transition, very smooth. Similar shoes might be like the 29 has a really good transition. The Lillard 1, in my opinion, had really good transition, very smooth. And then some shoes that don't might be like the J Crossover 2 or the first Anatomic Spawn from Under Armour. I think the transition was slightly clunky there. Not quite as smooth as it could have been, but not like terrible either, but definitely a noticeable difference in my opinion. So transition is very smooth in these shoes, which again is very, very important to me. Let's talk about the fit now, and we'll talk about the components of the upper. I think they're true to size lengthwise. So whatever shoe or whatever size you wear in most shoes, probably get the same size in these and you'll be okay. The fit at the forefoot, they are definitely like noticeably narrower in the 2. Not in a huge way, but it's noticeable. Like there's clearly more room in the width at the forefoot of the original Clutchfit Drive, and narrower in the 2. So I don't know how they would work out for people with really wide feet, and I wouldn't recommend that you size up or anything like that, because that's going to be your own personal your own personal preference. But in terms of the length, I think they're true to size. Obviously we have the differences in the Clutchfit uppers. So in the first one, that's the first generation Clutchfit upper, right? It just kind of wraps around in one piece, and there's that that line, that division. Well, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see it right there in the division there. Okay, that's the first generation. And then get you guys a good look at the 2. So again, I didn't like the mid. I didn't like the application of the clutch fit in the mid, but in the low, it's a pretty generous application. It's pretty much extends throughout the entire shoe, right? From that midfoot onto the toe box. So now it is covered with this like mesh kind of material. It's very similar to like a window screen, the screen that covers a window or a door. I don't know if I can, yeah, you can see like that kind of mesh material covering that. So it feels very much like the screen of a window. I'm kind of curious about the durability of this, because if you guys remember the first Spawn, for me, they started ripping towards the end of the life of that shoe. And this material feels less durable than that. So, what am I doing? I'm gonna show you guys some more stuff. It feels less durable than that. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna rip at some point in that mesh material there. That's not gonna be a problem, I guess, because I'm gonna be playing in them anyways. But yeah, I'm curious about the durability and see what's gonna happen there. So, but it feels kind of like that screen material. We have our heel counters, right? This one is, I think, a little bit more sturdy, more thicker than the heel counter on the 1, but they both do a good job of keeping your heel locked in place and making sure nothing's moving around back there. And then obviously we have these like fused like panels and overlays that kind of provide a little bit of additional support in the 2. So both of these uppers do a really good job of keeping your foot contained, providing support where you need it. I think they're very comfortable. There's no chafing or pinching or any issues like that. And I think that's really an important thing, is you don't want to feel anything like that. You don't want to feel any issues with the uppers or the heel counter or anything digging into your foot. So, and I'll get into that a little bit more in a second here. Let's go ahead and move on to the tongues. The tongue on the 2 is basically full mesh, and the 1 is as well, but the one in this area here where that logo is denser. It's like thick. It's not thicker, but it's denser. Okay, there's more material there. Whereas in the 2, it's thicker, but it's a lot softer. It's all mesh, but it's like really thick and cushy. And also look at that like brilliant logo, right? I mean, I'm being sarcastic, but they just put his number in the initials there. Hopefully they'll do something a little bit more stylistic and creative for him, for Moutier. This is one of Emmanuel Moutier's colorways. But anyways, I felt a little bit of lace pressure right there just from lacing them on. Okay, just from tying them up and walking around. So I thought that was going to be an issue when I actually played in them, but thankfully it wasn't, and I didn't really have any issues there whatsoever. Now I capped off at about 5 games, so the most I play in a session now might be around 5 or 6 games. So I didn't have any discomfort issues. But for those of you guys who are playing longer, that might be a problem, but it wasn't for me and for how long I play. So talking about the tongues on the inside, I'm going to show you guys the other shoes here and how they're held together. They just use an elastic band for the two. Hopefully I can give you guys a good, there you can see that. There's the elastic band on that side, and then on this side, that's what they use to hold the tongue together. And in the first Clutchfit Drive, the tongue it doesn't have as much freedom and I like that, because they use this mesh. It's almost like a partial booty. It's really hard to see, sorry about that. But yeah, you can kind of see, there it is, the mesh there, that keeps the tongue in place. And it's not complete, it doesn't run the full length of the shoe, but it is, I would prefer that over just regular elastic bands. I think it gives you less chance of like chafing and irritation. But again, there are no issues with either shoe in terms of the upper and the comfort they provide. So no issues there with the bands or with the mesh. Okay, so moving on to the and again, in terms of the containment and support, they do a really good job of just keeping your foot in place and helping with, I think it gives you a really nice one-to-one fit. All movements, like really explosive cuts, coming around screens, getting back in transition, backpedaling, or taking off and running towards the hoop, really all kinds of stuff, Euro steps and spin moves. It really does a good job of keeping your foot in place and kind of giving you some feedback on where you are and what you can do. So that leads me to the stability and the court feel, which both shoes, because of the bases that they're built on, and there's a really good feeling of stability, like a really good connection to the court. And I think because of the base that it's built on, both of them, with the low profile cushioning and the uppers, the way that they're designed, all of that stuff works in combination to really give you a nice, strong connection to the court. And I think that can't be like overstated enough. It's really, really important. You don't want to feel disconnected, right? You want to feel like you know exactly where you are and what position your body's in, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. You can focus your attention on what you should be focusing on, which is like setting the screen correctly or rolling to the basket or boxing out your man for the rebound, or all of these, like your jumper form and all of these things. If you're worried about your shoe, if you're worried about something that's like chafing or pinching you or irritating, or the traction isn't just quite there, that's going to distract you from playing, which is not what you want, right? I think the sign of a really good shoe is just you don't worry about it, you don't notice it when you're playing, and you can focus on other things like the things that I just mentioned. So both of these shoes enable me to do that, and I think it would enable most people to do it as well. So, and there are some shoes out there that don't have like a strong connection to the court, in my opinion. So I returned my Kobe 10s because they just didn't feel quite stable. I didn't feel a nice connection to the court there. Whereas shoes like this and other shoes, I think they give you a really nice feel, that court feel, right? Okay, so hopefully that helped. Sorry if I was rambling, but yeah, hopefully that gave you guys some information on both shoes. Again, if you haven't tried either, I would definitely recommend you get one if you can. And if you have tried the one before, the two is very similar. I just think the main difference, a really noticeable difference, would be the cushioning. It is just, the foot sinks in a little bit more into that yellow insole than in the Micro G. But it is a very worthy successor, I think. I wouldn't call it an improvement. I don't think it's an improvement, but it's almost equal to it, right? It's just going to be your preference. Do you like the charged cushioning, or do you like the Micro G? The one is still available in some places. Every now and then they pop up on eBay or various websites, and then the two is widely available right now, on sale in a lot of colorways. So it's just a really good, fun overall guard shoe. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Again, you guys have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything at all, go ahead and leave it below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you guys very, very much for watching. I know it's a really long video, but thank you very much. I appreciate all the support and the comments and the critiques. So thanks guys, I'll see you next time.